Welcome to 3 Seasons Elk Calling and Hunting. Hi, I'm Wayne Carlton. You know, most Rocky Mountain states, they offer all 3 seasons: archery, muzzleloader, and gun. And if you know what to say at the right time, you can use calls to your advantage on any one of the seasons. Well, since the archery is usually the first in most states, let's start with that. When I go archery hunting, the first part of the season, I'm going to use the cow call and I'm going to bugle both. I use both those calls quite a bit. The latter part of the archery season, say towards the end of September, maybe the first part of October, I'll probably go more to cow calls and less bugles, unless that old bull happens to want to hear that bugle. If he wants to hear it, I'm going to give it to him. Tell you what, let's go on an archery hunt and I'll show you what I mean. You know, I don't care what season you hunt, whether it be archery, muzzleloader, or gun. When you can learn how to use a call to bring the bulls out of the woods and bring them to your position, that means you don't have to go to them. Plus, it lets you know what's there even though you may not see them. But in this case, we're able to get the bull to come to us, come close. And by the way, I call this my smoking bull. It takes not calling to them, but it takes calling away from them so they come on down to you and not at you, but come in the area so that you can get shots. The more you call when they're this close, the more they'll pinpoint you. And let's face it, if you're a bow hunter, you want a broadside shot and not a face-on shot. And this is where a caller can really help you. It shows you how many opportunities that you can create for yourself by calling. See, you wouldn't come to that bugle to begin with, but when you do this little whiny cow call, then he's got to come on down and check it out and make sure it's not some girlfriend that he had forgotten about. Remember, if they're looking at you, they know where you're at. If you hit that call, they'll pinpoint you. But when they start going away and when you call, then that gives you a broadside shot. Just look at that. Doesn't get much better. Now that's in the timber. Let's go down to New Mexico on the Floyd Lee Ranch. And you see this is wide open country. Oak brush, nothing big to hide behind, but still we can call elk to us if we just use that vegetation to our advantage. There was a cow and a bull and they were so far away we couldn't tell if they were coming and going, but the cow came first and then the bull started to follow her. And I know these cow calls don't sound good. You'll never win a contest unless you're trying to call a bull in. And I'm going to be the first to admit, when you try to call a bull out in open country like this, it is difficult because they're looking for what's making that sound. Now remember, we don't call when they're facing us. But just watch what's happened when we call and the bull's looking away from us. Got his attention, but not quite enough, so we give him a little bit more. And then let him look for you. If you call now, they'll probably hit the brakes. And you can see this is going to be a hard shot, but again, if you call and they're not close like this, they'll stop usually wherever they're at. This bull's about 15 yards away. Darwin Hendricks from Arkansas has never killed a bull, but he's getting ready to have the first opportunity to get one. And there you have it. Always call when they're running away. It settles them down. You don't have to trail them as far. And we're pretty excited. Darwin had never killed one before, but now he's got one. Now that was out in wide open country. Sometimes when you're in thick timber like this, the bull comes a little bit quicker than you anticipate, and you can't always sit up the way you want to. And even though we have trees, we don't have anything on the ground. So we've got to get right next to the trunk of a tree so that we're part of the vegetation. And let me tell you, with all these limbs sticking out, that gets hard to do. This is an old bull. He's over the hill. Got a weird rack. But he came hard to that fighting cow call. You don't have a shot. But now you got a broadside shot. If you're in the right position and you can get an arrow right through underneath that limb, then you've got a shot. Bull's facing us again. We calmed him down by calling. And this bull gave us numerous opportunities if we wanted to shoot to get off a shot on him. And you don't have to be the best caller in the world, but at least just try calling.
We're trying to get at least a pretty good 6x6. As you saw that one bull, it's all beat up on one side and broke, and then palmated on the other. I'd have probably shot him because he was so ugly. Jake Clark would have probably killed us if we'd have shot it, so we decided not to. But there was a lot of bulls in here last night, so we're going from this draw to another draw to another and trying to find where a pretty good bull is. Jake saw one that would score about 330. Let's go over here.
What I like to do when I'm archery hunting, especially early part of the season, I want to go high. Because if you go high, the weather is bad early. As you can see, there's some snow on the ground. Plus, if I'm up high and I'm hunting all day long, normally the draft is going to come up in my face. And if I can see a bull like this down below me, then I can play the wind right and take my time and slip down to him. And let me tell you, if you haven't done much of it, it's a whole lot easier going down than it is hiking up. So try to get up high, get the wind in your face, and come down on these bulls. Once we got in position and started calling, we knew where the bull was at. We played the wind right. And it is great to see a big bull like this coming to you. The hardest thing to do when you're hunting elk with a bow is the proper setup. You see these trees are in the way? Can't get a shot through there. We've already gone the full draw. There's no way we can get a shot, and the bull knows we're there. And this is a standoff that normally you don't win as a hunter. The elk's going to win this contest. How would you like to have to be holding that bow this entire length of time with a bull that's probably going to score about 330, standing only 12, 15 yards away? Makes you want to come back for more.
Well, you know, you can go elk hunting, and this is the great American elk hunt. And that's exactly what we're getting. We're in the roughest hole that you can find. We're in over 20 miles back in a wilderness area. The bulls hadn't been working. We've been at it for about a week. We finally get a nice, I think it's a 6x5, I couldn't tell for sure, 15 yards away. And all that elk had to do was just take 1 or 2 more steps. Brian could have got a shot. But it's so many times you set up in a way that you're not part of the surrounding because you kind of get caught unaware. That bull came in real fast. We got by some trees, and if it hadn't been for a few small pine trees there, you'd have had a shot. Yep. But that's just part of hunting, and that is elk hunting. It don't go right a lot, but when it does go right, you can look back on all the failures and say, man, I finally got one, but we didn't get that one. We'll try for another one. And we'll come back later this afternoon if we don't get some more going today and try to work this bull again. That's hunting.
I've got to tell you, Brian Valentine was a great sport, being able to see that elk that close and not get him. Sometimes you go hunting and it's windy. And when it's windy, everybody gets excited, everybody's nervous, and even though we can call these cows to the call, we still can't get the job done. The wind's swirling, they're nervous, they don't hold steady, the bull's jumpy. Usually on windy days, it's a hard deal to do. This old bull, instead of following those cows, he kind of went off to our right, and again the wind messed us up because it had so much of our odor just floating around. You know, we can't always pick the days we hunt. And if it's raining, I still try to go hunting, especially if it's a light rain like this. This is a satellite bull. We're after a great big bull. And of course, with a great big bull, there are always satellite bulls around him. Well, even though it's raining, the bull still comes pretty good to a call. Now, remember I said try not to call them to you, get them to go by you. When they come in like this, you just don't have a shot. But this is a small bull. We don't want to shoot this bull, but we do want to point a few things out. And that's the chances you can create for yourself simply by calling. Watch this. Didn't have a shot, and now we do have a shot at about 35 yards. So if you're at full draw and you hit that call and that bull went broadside, you have a standing shot just like that. They're looking. But if you're already at full draw, all you have to do is release the arrow and you got one. Works on big bulls just like small ones.
Wasn't that fun? I don't know how long I laid on the ground, but I can tell you folks, long enough to get soaked plumb down to my innards. We're going back to camp and get warm and have something to eat. We'll catch you later.
There's nothing like camp, especially when you're cooked, to write a song about the weather and elk hunting. Listen to this.
I was out in New Mexico, came to hunt some big game. Then the clouds started rolling, and the weather got lame. I was freezing in the morning, and by noon I was hot. I'm in the middle of the desert, but my feet have double ride. Well, I wanna get me a 6x.
You got the effort.
If I can only get close enough, I'm gonna let that arrow fly. Well, I got a green wing, I got a rangefinder too. I got on my mossy old camo, I got arrows straight and true. But the wind keeps on howling, and the rain falls too. I'm stuck in New Mexico out on the woods. I got them elk hunting blues. Well, I wanna get me a 6x. Oh, at least I'm gonna try. If I can only get close enough, I'm gonna let all them arrows fly. I was sneaking through the oak brush. I saw a big bull with 6 points on his antlers, and my quiver was full. I drew back to get him, and I let that arrow fly. But the fates were against me, and I kissed his ass goodbye. Well, I'm gonna give me a 6x.
3 times, Quinn, 3 times.
Oh, please, I'm gonna try. If I can only get close enough, I'm gonna let them arrows fly.
If you'll hang around long enough, the weather will change. And hunting camps do take the hardness out of the hunting. But the next morning, the weather breaks, bulls are bugling, we're getting them pinpointed, the wind's not blowing. But you know something? Before you ever go hunting, you have to make your mind up. Do you want to pass up a bull like this? Or do you want to try to get a bull like this? If you hadn't made your mind up before you go to the woods, that decision is pretty difficult. And when you look at a bull the size of this, yeah, he's not a great big record book bull, but he may look real good on the wall, and he'll probably be some fine eating. But we're gonna let him walk. But the opportunity was certainly there, and you did that by calling. Now this is a great example. Again, whether it be gun or bow, it doesn't make any difference. This bull's coming in. He's looking. We made him come to where we're at. We didn't have to go after him. And even though we don't have a shot right now, just look how many opportunities that we can create for ourselves simply by calling at the right time. Quite a few. There he goes. Now this next bull, These boys of this size are very hard to pass up. We're set up just right. It's early in the morning. The wind's coming down in our face. We knew the elk was there. He bugled from a long ways away. So we set up and started using the fighting cow call. Now again, when they're coming at you, you can't say anything. They're looking for you. His head's pointed in our direction. Bow hunting takes a lot of patience. And if you don't have that patience, sometimes you do things you shouldn't do. You think you have a shot now, but you don't. That bull came to a cow call. And now we're going to start putting some bugles on him. And watch how nervous this bull gets. This bull is upset. You can see his reaction. But as soon as we start using the cow calls, then his whole attitude changes. And there's your opportunity for a broadside shot. Again, we do it by calling. Want a 360? There's a 360. Now, why would you pass up a bull like that? To be honest with you, it's to get to a bull like this. And it's to get in his country. We know he's there. We saw him earlier. We heard him bugling in his hole. And now we're slipping in, trying to get in his bedroom, which is during the middle of the day, 11 o'clock, to set up and use cow calls to get him to come in. This is when you have to get intense. This is when you have to be a predator. This is when you have to wait for the right shot. The bull's only 15 yards away. We don't have a shot, but knowing what we know about calling, we'll let him make his move, and then we'll make ours. He turned his butt to us. We started calling. He started calling back, and we still have a chance. Even though it's thick, we still have a chance. If you're at full draw now, you can release at the right time. That bull hit hard. And he won't go far. In 22 seconds, we heard him breaking limbs going down. Well, Warren, there he is. Yep. You said there were some big ones here. And you said I need to come down here. By dang. Look how wide he is.
Put the bow in there.
Well, we ain't gonna fit.
God.
Isn't that pretty? And that's one that that's one we saw in the field this morning.
Yep.
And that's the one that we've been hearing bugle. And I know we called up some other 6 points that had longer points on it. But this is an old bull, and he's the one doing all that growling.
Yep.
I got a charge out of that. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Shot.
I appreciate that. If you've never done it, the feeling you get packing them out is just enormous, especially on a bull like this. Now, isn't it amazing how many opportunities that you can create for yourself just by calling? Well, if you want to go muzzleload hunting, you take that same technique, take it right into the muzzleload season, and use it there. What calling will do for your muzzleload season, it'll stop an elk dead in his tracks for a standing shot. It'll call them out to you. It'll let you know when they're in the timber. So there's a lot of ways that you can use the call to your advantage during that season. Tell you what, let's go down northern New Mexico on a hunt with George Tallman, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, New Mexico is great because there are a lot of elk there, but it's also, especially in this part of the country we're hunting, it's a lot of oak brush, and it's hard to blend in because the elk can see through the cracks.
Okay, folks, let me set the stage for you on what we're trying to do. There's a good herd out there. There's a 5-point bull in there. They've been hammered pretty hard, been a lot of hunting pressure. This is muzzleload season, next to the last day of the season. They're not responding to the calls very well. So we're going to see if we can be a predator. Like men are not very good predators, but we're going to try to be. We're going to try to stalk them. And there's a time for calling and there's a time for crawling. So we're going to go crawl.
I've got them spotted. They're right over this hill. What we've got to do is go down here, go over this hill, then come back around to them. We got the wind in our favor, so if we can stalk good enough, maybe we can get in there on them. It's sure been tough. I like to get one.
When the elk have been hunted a lot, you can't always call them to you, but you can still use the calls to stop them for a broadside shot, and you can still use the calls to find out where they're at to help locate them in thick timber. And this bull's a little bit too far out. And you see how this vegetation is. It's hard to make the moves on them. I like hunting them where it's a little bit thicker. The more open the country, the more they look to see what's there. If they don't see it, they start getting skittish. See, the calling helps locate them, and it can let you get in that area where they're at. And then if you can kind of figure out which direction they want to go and slip in there with them, then you have a good chance of calling them close enough for a shot. But as you can see, that's not close enough. But hearing that bugle and getting the wind right, and again, and try to slip to them, even when they've been pressured and they don't want to come to a call. That's when you can use that opportunity to try to get a shot. And after 4 days of hunting, I was real sorry when I didn't hit that elk. And I was moving on the elk and didn't see the limb. Well, I'll blame it on that anyway. I could have just missed him.
See this limb shaking right here. And that's what I think that limb ricocheted, boy.
Well, you know, you don't ever want to give up. The next morning we're out trying it again. It's the last morning of the hunt. And there's still plenty of elk there. But now I've got to get in front of them. I've got to get to where the elk want to go in order to get a shot. Because these elk are not responding to a call other than bugling back. They're not coming.
Boy, that sounds like a dang good in there.
So it's simple. If they don't want to come to you, locate them and go to them and get close as you can.
I'm gonna tell you, that's a dang good bull. He's either 5 or 6 point. Got a lot of cows with him, and there's 2 or 3 other bulls. But this one, he's the one doing all the screaming.
Again, now some of the hardest places to hunt is this oak brush where you don't have much cover. And that's a good bull, but I need to get him right so I can get a shot. I need to get him broadside. And that's where that calling helps. And there he is. He's hit, and he's hit hard.
He's hit bad. And them cows are leaving. We gotta get another one loaded real quick.
Of course, the only problem with muzzleload hunting, you don't knock them down first shot, you gotta suffer the consequences because you can't load that sucker right back up. Unless you break their back down or get a heart shot, a lot of times they're going to go on you. So if you can get another shot off, that's great.
He's hit bad, or else he'd go with them cows, and he's standing right there. I can't get no shot there. He was about 150 yards away, and I don't know, it looked like a good shot. He really was hurt, but that's a good pocket to let him stay in. I'm going to let him stay there for an hour or so, and then we'll go up there and try to trail him. Hopefully we can find him. Man, I sure would like to got another shot in him. Dang. That blood's really getting weak. It was pretty good up till here. His tracks are right here. There's just this spot of blood. There's a lot of blood. He was standing right here. And he's kind of going off the trail. So he ought not to be far. There's some more blood right there. There's a track right there. There it is. There's some more blood. I tell you, he's really starting to go back and forth. He made a couple of U-turns back there, and that usually means they're hit pretty bad, or maybe they won't be much further when they start turning back. He ought to be pretty close. He's kind of playing out here. He's either, usually he's going to follow the trail. There he is, there he is, there he is. There he is. Looks like he's down.
The feeling of finding them when you see them run away, and then you can find them laying down. Woo!
I can't believe it's a good thing I had a pretty good blood trail, or else as thick as this oak brush was. He's down. That's it. That's it. He's done. I tell you what, old boy. Oh, isn't that pretty? God dang. Hit him right there in the shoulder, right there. And he was hit hard, but he went up over the hill, and it wasn't too thick going over the hill, but once he got over that hill, it got real thick, this oak brush did. And if I didn't have a pretty good blood trail, I'd have had a hard time finding him as thick as this stuff is, but the brush is real thick, so when it's thick like that, you're either looking at one trail or another, and through just elimination, following those out and picking up the blood trail, because even though you hit them good, sometimes they don't bleed out good, and they are hard to find. Boy, this here is a dandy. Last day of the hunt. Hunting down here with George Tallman, U.S. Outfitters, and his crew, and
Whew, this was a struggle. It's been a challenge. And I'm glad to say this is the last pack coming out. And on behalf of U.S. Outfitters and George Tallman and his crew, and especially Okie, it's been great and I appreciate it. Until next time, this is Wayne Carlton and I'm at the truck. Bye. There's a lot of talk about elk calls and how they work and what to use at a particular time. But out of all the calls that I've ever used for elk and the calls that we sell, I'd say the most effective elk call, the most convenient elk call to use is probably a diaphragm call, but it's also the hardest one to learn how to use. Let me try to take some of that difficulty out of using a diaphragm reed. When you're trying to learn how to use a diaphragm reed, you first have to learn how to control the air coming out of your mouth. The way you do that is you clench your teeth or your gums together and you try to control the air coming out of your mouth, not by using your lips, but controlling the air by using your tongue. Now what I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm trying to trap the air up in the roof of my mouth, showing you here with this mold of an upper palate. What I'm doing is I'm blowing and I'm whistling off that latex. My tongue is actually hitting that latex. And even though this wrinkles up right here, even though that wrinkles up, it doesn't make any difference. It's going to trap that air. And if your tongue's up there, then it controls the air as it comes out of your mouth. Well, in actuality, how does that work? Again, it's like this. Put the reed in my mouth. So the different parts of an elk bugle are this. First of all, when a bull comes in close, he's kind of like he's growling. The way you imitate that growl is simple. You growl too, or you gargle like a deep gargle. Now, to get that growl, you can't start out high pitch. You kind of, and then you try to get the different levels, the tone levels, the pitches out of the call as you go. And you get that by adding tongue pressure and air pressure. You're controlling the air. That's what you're doing the whole time, is you're controlling the air. To get the chuckle, what are you doing? Now, you can hear I'm sucking air back in, and it's real important to hold this diaphragm up in the roof of your mouth when you're doing that. I don't want you sucking this thing down and calling me with a funny voice. Put your tongue against it, hold it up in the front part in the roof of your mouth, right behind your teeth, and then the sound comes and goes. It's in and out like this. You can use that with a tube, and the tube gives you direction. It also amplifies the sound. This is the bull getter. I just took the mouthpiece out. It's got a megaphone end of it. I use a grunt tube to sound like a big bull. I use it for long distance, and I use it for direction. If an elk's out in front of me, I'll bugle behind me. If he's off over there, I'll bugle over here. Wherever he's at, I want him to come by me and not to me. But the grunt tube does give a diaphragm a much more of an original sound, like this. In and out, and you're controlling the air both ways as it goes in and out. One more time. Okay, maybe a diaphragm call is just out of reach for you. So we've designed a mouthpiece, and we call it the bull getter. This reed, the advantage of the bull getter is you can use a single, double, triple, quadruple call. It goes in like that. You hold it in place. The cap goes on it. It pushes down the tape, and it locks it in place, and there you have it. Snaps right in the tube. How to use this? Don't make it hard. Put your bottom lip against the face of this right here. put your gums or teeth right up on top. If you insert this whole thing, two things happen. First of all, you look real stupid. Secondly, it just don't work that way. You want your tongue to hit this latex again because you're whistling off that latex like this. So if you insert that whole thing in your mouth, then the latex, the diaphragm, is too far back in your mouth. You can also use this call for turkey, and also for coyotes. If you get a coyote howling, we designed it primarily for elk, but once you practice with this, there's an awful lot of things you can do with it. Still can't use the diaphragm. That's the hardest thing to do. Trying to get people to learn how to use these calls. They always try to make it too hard. Here's something. It's called the lip bugler. We just brought it out this year. And if you got lips, you can blow this thing. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the neatest call. Anybody can blow it. It's got a diaphragm. The diaphragm comes out. It's got a sound trough right here. Diaphragm slides back in. And then this slips back in place right here. And it's that simple. Your teeth go right here. This inserts in your mouth. That puts the diaphragm right on your lip. This is a lip bump right here so that your lip doesn't go too far. And it blows like this. Easy to replace the reed, easy to carry, got a great sound, and I think the easiest call on the market to learn how to blow. If you can't blow this, you call me, and I'll give you money back on this thing. It's that easy. I've gone over the diaphragm calls, but what really gets in elk close, and when they've been called to a lot and they don't want to respond very well, it's cow calls. Now, the scenario is this. If I can get an elk bugling from a distance, if I can get him from bugling from a long ways away with a diaphragm call, with these tubes, using a diaphragm for a cow call or a bugle, if I can do that, I save these two things as a surprise. Why? Because they're really effective. I don't want to overplay it, because the more that I use these calls, the less effective they become. After the elk hear it, they respond less and less and less. So save this as a surprise, or save these calls for when you're trying to shock a bull into bugling when he doesn't want to bugle. So how does it work? I got an elk bugling from maybe a quarter of a mile away. He's down in the canyon. I'm hunting during the middle of the day. They're in the thick timber. They feel comfortable. I'm slipping in there. I'm playing the wind right. I get in position to where I think that bull will come to that spot that I'm at. And when I'm all ready, now an average cow call, if that bull bugles when you do that, I'll add a little bit more to it just to try to keep him excited. I can't stress how much a bull will jump on that call, and how they will bugle when they don't want to bugle, and how they'll come in. When you're set up right, it's hard not to get them to come in because they respond so well to this call. Another call we have is a lonesome cow call, a little bit easier to blow. This one you have to bite about 1/4 of an inch from the end. This one, you just bite down this rubber tube, press it together, and blow, and it's meow, meow. Now you hear that sound at the end, meow, meow. With this, you just keep blowing while you're biting and let off the pressure as you blow, and that gives that meow sound. Again, with this call, same deal. You keep blowing as you take pressure off the reed. Well, these type of calls are notorious for hanging up. I know some of the folks that have designed these calls and put them on the market, sometimes that reed will hang up on you. We tried to take that away, that problem away. Here's a call that's been sitting in water the whole time. Blow the water out of it. You never know, it may be raining when you're hunting. So even though that was in the water, soaking wet, you blow the water out of it, and it still blows, and it's because of the way that we designed the reeds. With all that being said about calling, especially on muzzleloader and bow hunters, it's not just the calling. You're trying to get them close for those. Now, if you gun hunt, it's a little different story. You can shoot an elk maybe 150, 200, 300 yards away. But when you're trying to call an elk close to a bow or muzzleloader, even with all the calls that we've got here, you still have to play the wind right. And even when you play the wind right, sometimes it's tricky, it's kind of moving on you. HS, Hunter Specialties, has come out with a neat idea. This is an actual bag that we'll carry our clothes in. And if you're going out into the field, put all your hunting clothes in this bag. And if you want to put a scent wafer in with the bag for whatever scent you might be hunting, whichever area, then you can put that scent wafer in there to give you that odor. But what else I'll do is I'll use the scent away. Now, when you use that, you can't use a little bit. You got to go through the whole process. And the whole process is this. You bathe with the soap that eliminates odor. You treat your clothes so you take care of the odor. You don't have dirty clothes to start with. Try to keep them clean. Put them in this bag. And when you get out of the truck to go hunting, or when you leave camp, after you've done that, you take this and you spray it and coat yourself down good with it, and it will eliminate most common odors. What that does, it gives you that little bit of extra advantage of trying to get an elk close, and when the wind's moving around, sometimes it's playing tricks on you. If you've done everything that you can to eliminate your scent, well, then your chances of success are going to increase. So learn how to call, practice these calls. If you have to go back and look at these instructions again, do that. But when you get an elk in close, try to have something that's going to eliminate that odor. And we'll also take pure elk urine and just spray it around us because that stuff kind of floats on the air. Try some of these techniques. Try learning how to call. And whether you're archery, muzzleloader, or gun, it doesn't make any difference. You can call for that season. It works all year long. You just have to try it. Now, I like this elk urine. And it just floats in the air. You can see it floating. And it smells just like elk. You can see how that elk urine just floats in the air. And I tell you what, if you really want to get their attention, take this in a restaurant. And if the food ain't good, just give it a couple of pumps on the way out, and they'll remember you next time. Now, I think you can see, using that call during the muzzleload season, you can create a lot of opportunities for yourself. Well, you can take that same call and take it into gun season. And the big question always is, can you really call during late season? You sure can, as late as December. On these next two bulls that you'll see down at Vermejo Park Ranch, one scored 333, the other one 328. Both of them were called by the call out to the gun for a standing shot. And there's so many opportunities you can create for yourself. Let's go to Vermejo Park, northern New Mexico, and we'll show you. I'm going to have to fess up. When you hunt Vermejo, it is not hard. But the quality of bulls there is something special. Yeah, we can drive to it. Yes, it's easy, but there's a lot of elk there. And if you're after a huge bull, Vermejo may be a place that you want to go if you're not after that real hard hunt. Now on this hunt is Jim Baker, who is guiding David Forbes from Hunter Specialties on his first ever elk hunt. And what a place to do it. Look at this country. Look at all the animals. There's a lot of wildlife at Vermejo on 600,000 acres. There's some quality hunting. Now this is gun season, and it's in October, and the peak of the rut certainly is over, but the rut is still in. because Baker knows the country so well. He knows where the bulls come out in the afternoons. He knows where they're at. And let's watch them as they set up.
Historically, this area being up high like this, and especially even from the rutting season on clear through the late fall hunting season, bulls will show up here, sometimes with cows, sometimes coming bugles, sometimes singles, and we've seen some single bulls split off now. But hopefully we'll hear some up here early before things get way too late and too dark.
This appears to be very desolate, very kind of off on its own.
Yeah, that's what it's an isolated spot. They really like it. All these aspens and perfect elk habitat up here. It's usually real good. Let's give her one little call, see if we hear anything. Yeah, there's one that's early too. Come on, let's go get in position up there.
Again, when you call and you know the animals are there, then you can play the wind right, and you can set up based on what they're doing. Because now you know where they're at, even though you can't see them.
This looks like a pretty good spot. Let's just set up here. Why don't you get right up here and get comfortable? I'll get behind you, and we'll just get ready, wait a little while here.
Get in the shadows. That way things don't reflect a lot of light.
Okay, they're calling back pretty good. I'll hit him again. Sounds like he's a little bit out to the right. I can see him, yeah.
Let me tell you, this is one heck of a bull.
Oh yeah, he's got something different about him.
Called out of the brush.
He's got to clear the trees.
With a cow call.
On one side.
Baker's using both our lonesome cow call and our fighting cow call on this bull.
Looks like it might be an old bull.
The bull's not nervous. He's coming in good. He's coming out of the timber. Close enough for a good shot. And would you just look at the size of that rack?
He's behind that tree now. You could probably move now if you wanted to get in position. Come on.
If you're a first-time elk hunter, you think for a second that David Forbes is not really thinking about what he's seeing out in front of him. The bull of a lifetime on his first hunt. And again, you don't have to take that moving shot. The bull's not nervous. He's not running. You're not trying to catch him going through trees.
It's fairly long.
What you're doing when you're calling is a methodical opportunity getter to put that bull where you want him for the shot that you want. That bull hears those cow calls, and he knows there's got to be some cows there. And even from 100 yards or so away, see how they pinpoint you when you call?
He may come around from the left side of those trees there.
But it's still far enough away that he can't really
There's just above that big rock right now.
positively pinpoint where that sound's coming from. But if you can see his gut shaking, even though it's in October, this bull is still in the rut, and that's why calling works even into December.
Wait, what's he doing over there now? God.
You know, that cow calling stimulates that bull. It makes him think about that cow and what's there, and he forgets about there are predators after him, and that gives you the opportunity for shots.
Yeah, there he is. I just need to say it. Okay.
Except for a few limbs, Dave's almost ready for a shot. We don't want the butt shot.
Good hit. Looks like a good hit, Dave.
We want that broadside
he's
shot.
Going.
And that's it.
He ran around that tree, but yeah, it sounds like he's going down. Sounds like he's going down. All right. Just be ready, just in case he gets up, because they're tough son of guns. But... Here he is, Dave. Here he is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, heck.
Right.
He's down. Yeah, you set your gun down. Boy, that is one nice elk. That is one.
Yeah,
nice
I'll tell you
elk.
one thing. That being the first one, the next one's going to be
yeah.
woo-wee. They won't all be that big.
Thank you. That is
Finally, after
tremendous.
all this time.
My first elk. All right.
Kept having bad luck, but it was finally bound to change.
You know, we saw so many bulls, and none of them appeared to be big enough.
Yeah,
And you
this
said,
is
just hang on.
this is a good one to take, boy. This is a real. He's on. I think he's probably an old bull on his way downhill.
Oh, but he's
Great
healthy,
elk.
He's got mass. Oh, he's wonderful. Thank you.
It's a great elk.
Thank you very much.
Now look at the bull that Dave got.
All right.
Now I'm trying to get Carmen Forbes her first bull ever. And Baker has told me about a little plateau, an opening, and the woods around there hold a lot of bulls, a lot of elk, and he has told me how to get into this place. So we're trying to bugle our way in and not scare anything as we go. And here's the opening. And I've heard bulls bugling up on top here. I know they're there. And I want to try to slip up and get close without them spotting me. And I know they got to be there somewhere. Because I've heard a bugle, but I still don't see them. And once I get everybody set up, that's when we start calling. So when I first started calling, I was 400 or 500 yards away. But when you take that call, and when you're close, and you hit these high-pitched fighting cow calls, the lonesome cow call, that kind of stuff, it means a whole different ball game, because now these cows are close to these bulls, and it's in October, and as you can see, they're responding real well to calling. See, that bull's far enough away that I can call to him, and there's grass between me and the bull, so he really can't see over this hill. and there's enough trees around that I can get away by calling because he can't see for sure what's there. If he was close, I wouldn't be calling now, especially if we wanted to shoot this bull. It's pretty awesome, man. See, that bull stopped. He's looking. I'm toning the call down and giving him just enough to make him keep coming. If that bull had had a good fifth point, we would have taken him. Even so, isn't that a beautiful thing? Look at the length of that rack. You can carry that in your memory banks for a long time. You can get away with sight, you can get away with unusual noise, but you can't get away from the fact that if they smell you, they're gone. And I got to tell you, I had a lot of reservations about letting that bull get away from us. But they were calling so well. Again, even though it's in October, they're calling so well, I thought we still had an opportunity to get some more. Watch how this bull's running away. And watch what happens when I call to him. So what calling does, it calms him down, and it gives you a standing shot, and sometimes it gives you a closer shot than you may have otherwise gotten. That bull does not want to leave that cow call. When it's windy and you don't have any idea where the elk are at because it is so windy, you can't hear them. What I like to do is get in a spot, even though it's gun season, to get in a spot that I think the elk are going to be at that time of day that I'm hunting. And they're still nervous when they come in, but sometimes, even when the wind's blowing as hard as it is here, we can still call elk because they can hear us, we just can't hear them. We went and found us a hole, slipped in there and started calling, and this little bull just couldn't get there quick enough. Another couple of years, this is going to be a nice bull. He says, I don't know where you're at, but I sure want to see you.
This one may be coming.
Now, if you should scare an elk and they're running away from you, and it is out in the open like this, or if it's in timber, again, watch what these cow calls will do. Gives you that standing shot, and it's not hard to learn how to use these calls, and they're so effective. No matter what season you hunt, at least give them a try.
Carmen, the reason we stop at these water holes is there's not much water in this country. And these creeks, even though sometimes in the spring these creeks go down these bottoms, and we turkey hunt the same area. But what I'm trying to do is stop at these water holes because the elk are attracted to the water holes because there's no more anywhere else. And they'll come down these bottoms and feed. The grass is good here. And they'll come down at night and feed. So being in the afternoon like it is, it's almost 4 o'clock. I know the water hole's going to attract them. And I know this grass down here is going to attract them. So if I stop at these areas and call, then hopefully there's a chance we'll hear one. But that's what I like to do on this. Now, if you know that country good enough and know where the elk are going to want to be, and one of the cowboys at Vermejo told me where he had seen a big bull, and there's only certain places there's water, so we'll get out and call at these different water holes, thinking that the elk should be close enough they can hear our calls. And we also know that late in the afternoon like this, with the sun starting to go down, the elk are going to start moving. Let's get our stuff out of the truck. Let's go up on that knob where we can hear better. Let's just get all our stuff together. See, I thought I had heard a bull, but Carmen was standing away from me, and she did hear a bull, and she heard it about 3 times. So now we know which direction to go. We're going to try to call, locate him, and then slip in so she can get a shot on him. He's bugling, but he's not coming, so we're going to go to him. Let's just try to go a little closer to see if we can get him in. Okay. Now, even though it's late in the year, a lot of times these bulls will have a lot of cows with them. And that's the case with this bull. He's got a ton of cows with him, and he's not going to leave those cows and come to us. So if we go to him and apply the calls at the right time, we should make something happen. He must have some cows with him. Now see, when he bugles to my bugle and he won't bugle to my cow call, it probably means he's got a lot of cows. And he doesn't like that challenge, but he won't answer that cow. And there is a lot of cows there. But we got the wind in our favor, so we still should be able to pull it off.
So even though we can see all the cows, we can't see the bull. So I'm going to try to pull him out of the timber so Carmen can get a shot. And the way I pull him out of the timber is I bugle, I cow call, and I bugle. I try to create a lot of excitement and get everybody stirred up. And here they come. There's the bull. That bull's on the right-hand side, and he's standing right next to the tree, but there's too many cows in the way. And this is a big bull. And there's your shot.
We got a bull hit. Looked like a pretty big 6. I was trying to count all the antlers. It was really wide and heavy. And what I did, we could see the cows and we could see the calves. We could hear the bull bugling in the background. So even though it is rifle season, they're still herding the cows, they're still breeding them. And I used the call to try to get him to come out. And he did, he stood by that tree, and it was a broadside shot. I heard it hit, so we're gonna wait a few minutes and go up there and check.
We know he's hit, we just don't know how bad. And I saw him shudder when the shot went off. And we didn't see him anymore, so we can only hope he's on the ground. And there he is on the ground.
I don't see anything moving. His antlers are laying off to the side. Can you see him right in there, right? Okay, I don't see any movement at all.
I don't think that bull went 75 yards after he was shot. I don't see any movement at all. He's down. He's down. What do you think? Woo!
What an adventure.
Woo!
What an adventure.
You actually hit him good. Right here.
Was that where I hit him?
Yeah. Look at this. 6 by 7.
You're a kid.
Woohoo!
Oh, that.
I don't know. We might be able to find. He must have done that when he fell. This right here broke that
Oh,
off.
there's blood.
Yeah. Huh? Right here. Are they big dudes or what? Man,
What a
why?
day. What a hunt.
You know, anytime you can call somebody's first animal in for them, it is just fantastic. But to be able to call in Carmen Forbes, her first elk on her first elk hunt, well, that was fantastic. We called in a big elk the first day, but not quite big enough. Then we called some small ones in. We fought with the wind. Then we had one come in that was pretty big, but just quite couldn't get the shot. Then lo and behold, we finally got the big elk in and was able to get a shot. She made a great shot, got the elk down. And if they could all in like that, it is great. On behalf of all the folks at Vermejo Park Ranch, this is Wayne Carlton from Carlton's Wild Country. The sun's setting on this hunt. We'll see you next time. Down. Good girl. Good girl, Jeannie.